All right, my little eagles, we're going to go ahead and get started today. Thank you guys for joining. I'm so excited that I have so many people that decided to join today's webinar because we all know that this is our probably number one biggest concern when it comes to actually when we're able to get people in the door, being able to get them closed on a membership or now program. So everybody can relate to this struggle. It's very real. It has been around in membership and program sales since the beginning of time. So I'm super excited and I'm super pumped. And today we're going to do the part one of Overcoming Objections. As you guys know, we do these training webinars Tuesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So with Friday coming up, I figured it'd be a perfect opportunity to do more of a part two because I feel that overcoming objections is not something that can take just 45 minutes to an hour to train on because there's so many advanced situations that take place. So figure today we'll knock out the basics, and it's super important that we do so because a lot of the times when we train and we simply are even consulting in situations where we are having to overcome objections, a lot of the time we're not successful with overcoming them because maybe we have a staff that doesn't really understand what it is. So it's super important that you attend both of these webinars. I'm glad that you're on both of these. I'm glad you're on this one today because we're just going to sort of start off from the basics and understanding them. Now, we've already had a ton of training webinars on different things like staffing, right? We've had that webinar. We've had the webinar about approach and REDS and marketing and all the quadrants of Planet Beach marketing, and we've discussed that before in webinars past. And all of it, I know I've said before, ties into each other, and they work hand in hand, right? Because the three R's that we always talked about that are REDS, ratio, retention, there is a missing part of that that's actually not an R. In the beginning and before any of the REDS, ratio, retention is operations and staff. Without either one of those two things being a well-oiled machine where you have confidence in your staff and your operations are run correctly, appropriately, you have all the updated spa pieces and you have enough products on your shelving and you have a good customer experience process and customer service. Without any of that, the REDS ratio and retention would never happen. So again, just sort of reconfirming and just to drive this point home on the seriousness of that, this all ties into, again, that beginning of the three R's, which is staff and the operations of your spa. A spa that's not impressive, that doesn't showcase value when you go to pitch any specific price points. To me, if you're going to try and tell me to purchase a titanium membership or even a gold membership, but you can't even Swiffer your floors, I'm not going to spend money in there. Or what if the staff looks awful and has the worst customer service? I'm not going to spend that kind of money in there, right? I may or may not use my free stuff, and if I buy anything, it may just be like a session or two because I have a wedding and I need to get a spray tan. So keep that in mind. All of this ties together, and what we want to do today is sort of understand the definition of an objection and how to identify when you are first talking to a consumer that walks in your door and how to identify and basically mold yourselves around this personality type. And that all goes into the skill set of the consultant. But I won't get ahead of myself. If you're looking at the screen, then you should probably see that here is the overview. The first thing that we're going to cover is going to be the staff's understanding of their opponent. And I have that in quotations because we don't want them to look at them like they're an opponent, right? But all in all, it's sort of psychology, the psychology of the opponent, of who we're across from or sitting next to, right? So we're going to go through that. We're going to talk about the different program pitch approaches. This will tie directly into the approach webinar that we had a couple weeks back. What is an objection, right? Objections handling module. The cheat sheet on objections, which you might have seen in the description of this webinar, that I did have a link to the cheat sheet that we do have in Orion for you to have quick access to and review before today's webinar. But if not, I'll have it here and you can access it later. Strategies and tactics to keep them coming back until the yes. Then STS defined. I know you guys have seen this little thing at the very bottom of your dashboard before, but we'll go into that. And then lastly, homework and action items until Friday's part 2. Now, You guys know that I'm a big fan of write this down and action items, and it seems like I'm a pain in the neck, but a lot of this is ink it, think it. So when I give you homework and action items, please know I'm not just trying to make your life more miserable and I'm just out to see you suffer. I'm really doing this to help you guys, and a lot of where we're falling short is the basic understanding and the basics of the root of what we're trying to learn. You know, a lot of the trainings that are provided are the what. And you hear me say this all the time, the what, but not the how. And I think it's important to understand the how and the why before giving any what, you know. So we're going to have a couple of action, but it's actually going to be fun because it's videos and I'm in them. So I mean, you can't go wrong, right? I'm so amazing and I'm such a great actress. But yeah, so that's just the overview that we're going to go through today. And today we'll have a lot less time spent. So I won't keep you as long as I normally do because you guys know how much I can go on and on and on for hours. And I probably drive you guys nuts, but hopefully you get stuff out of this. Now, here we go. We're going to go into it. Like I said before, staff is key. And a lot of us know that. If you're a franchisee, you know that more so than anybody on this call. But spa directors, assistant spa directors, even if you're a spa consultant, knowing that it is almost a privilege and not a right to be a Planet Beach spa consultant, it's almost, I want to say that because not anybody can just do this job. And you guys know as well as I do that turnover is it's very high. The percentage of our staff turnovers in our spas worldwide, I mean, I hear it all the time from you guys on my calls and emails, like I'm having a staffing problem, nobody wants to actually work, and it all ties in with each other again. And this has to do with, it starts from the leadership and how they're motivated, right? If they're motivated and you're constantly giving them their whiffum and you're being a leader, less and more so than a manager, then it becomes more of an easier task to keep your staff. However, you know, that plays a huge role, but when it comes to overcoming objections and when it comes to program pitches and the consultant's role, it's really understanding that in that job description that you probably print off from Orion every time you hire a new staff member, that's a lot of stuff. We know that there's a lot that a consultant is responsible for. And we've even mentioned on past webinars that if the experience is drilled into their head and knowing that the customer experience is number one and then that they have to be prospecting warriors is number two, that the rest will fall into place, that still remains the same. But in the nicest way, in the most politically correct way possible, I want to stress this to you. You cannot fix stupid. And what I mean by that is I'm not pointing anybody out saying that people are stupid and you guys are so smart and I'm so smart. I'm just saying that this role requires common sense. It requires critical thinking skills and it requires solution solving skill sets. And when you are a spa consultant, and understanding that it's basically in your title from the get-go that you are just that. You are a consultant, not a salesperson. This specific area of your role becomes much easier. Because when you do meet somebody that walks into your door and you're trying to pitch a program to them, you're going to understand how to use consulting tactics versus sales tactics. 98% of the time that you get an objection, it's because you're too pushy. It's because you seem salesy. It's because they see that you're desperate and that all they are to you is a commission. And they know that off the bat, mainly because many of us have been there. I know I have, specifically in the beginning of my career when I couldn't figure out and I was getting stressed out, you know, why I wasn't closing new members. And a lot of it was, you know, they would say back to me, you're a really good salesperson. That's the worst. And I used to always say to myself, I wanted to hang myself anytime somebody would ever tell me that because I knew I was failing and I knew I was not doing it correctly and I was not a consultant. I was a car salesman. So staff skill set's important. And it's important to also, when you assess them and you're doing your evaluations, a lot of times you'll hear me say that on Monday motivation calls, sometimes on webinar trainings, hey, do a random SWOT. You know, in case you don't know what a SWOT analysis is, that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. We have a form on Orion for you to access in Spa Performance Management folder. But when you do these assessments or whenever you're doing a spa consultant evaluation, one of the major things you need to look at is, are they skilled in understanding their role and how to basically to scan the customers or the consumer's personality to mold themselves into showcasing the value to that specific customer type. Now that's key, because what I mean by that, and many of you will sit back and relate to this when I say this, when that customer walks in the door, personality A, B, C, D, E, F, G, there's a million personality types, and how I approach the conversation and showcasing the value and highlighting specific features and benefits is going to be completely different from the person that I had a 10:30 red appointment with to the person that I have a 1:30 red appointment with, because one might be an established, more mature, has more disposable income lady than the college kid that I'm about to have to showcase a lot of, hey, listen to how much money you're saving, right? I have to pull out a calculator with this one versus talking about how we're going to wine and dine you and show you what you're spending your money on. And I'm going to basically be your servant for the next 30 minutes to an hour that you're here. So all in all, that's one of the things you guys need to look at. And if you want to look at it after this call, that might be one of the smartest things that you can do as leaders is, does my staff have the skill set to understand? Or are they asking me, and I say this term loosely because I don't believe there's a stupid question. I believe that there are stupid situations in people where they repeat themselves and asking the same thing because they're not paying attention to you or they have no skill set. But analyze that. If they're not able to figure out by now and they're asking you stupid questions like, what do you think I should do if they ask me this? And you know last week they asked the same question when you were training them. Guess what? If you're not doing your weekly interviewing to replace, then you're going to be in a hole. And what's happening is money's being lost. Spa directors, you're not going to get anywhere near close to hitting those bonuses, much less getting your own commissions, right? And franchisees, you're losing money. You're spending money paying somebody to be there that's not able or has skill set to be in there and able to overcome these objections. And they're doing so much already. Now on the Monday motivation calls, I'm literally spending hours breaking down and providing to you a red appointment booking, red's allocation, prospecting, and marketing calendar. I'm doing it for you, right? So you guys are out there and you have staff that's basically following a task list. So all these guests that are coming in that are not being closed, when you go to reach out to them again in the future, they're going to be like, again, God, they must be desperate. And it's going to be 6 to 7 times harder to be able to get them closed on a new membership or a new program. So keep that in mind whenever we talk about this and we're analyzing skill set. You can't fix stupid. And we've talked about 3 types of customers before and the different consumers in our retail trainings. We talked about this in our approach trainings. So this might look familiar to you. So when somebody walks into your doors that you have to pitch a program to, understand and write this down or take a screenshot that when we talked about this just now a few moments ago, when we said the approach is going to be totally different with my 10:30 red versus my 1:30 because it might be a more established lady or gentleman than it is a college kid coming in, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about, is the 3 types. Save this, write this down, put this on a Post-it on the front computer, whatever is necessary, but train on this today or tomorrow, literally before your Friday training webinar, because this is important. There's the customer who walks in off the street with no offer. Hey, I was just popping in, right? Most of us are living by the door that way, which is sad to say, but it's true. Second is the customer walk-in that might have a guest pass, might have an offer. Maybe they're a member at the local health club or gym that you put some guest passes out for or a lead box out for, and they were just popping by saying that they want to try some services. Thirdly is the customer red appointment, which is obvious here. You've called them in and you've invited them in, so naturally they have an offer because you've had to provide one to them to come in. Now keep in mind, I want to just stress that the customer walk-ins and the red appointments, all in all, if in the past, and I want to clarify this because I've gotten a lot of this lately, usually it used to be for first-time guests only can they try free services. That is no longer an issue. That is not any longer an actual requirement in Planet Beach, simply because we have evolved so much, especially evolved into spa and less, if not any, tanning. So if somebody comes in to use services that might have been into your spa either before you've reimaged or before you've gotten new spa services, if it'd been a while, they are 100% to use services again, because what they remember in the back of their mind of who you are is a completely different idea and a completely different image of you in their mind. So remember, the perception is your reality rule. The customer's perception is your reality, regardless if it's right or wrong or true or false. This goes into that. So please keep that in mind if you happen to have people that are coming in trying to use services. If they're trying to just get stuff for free, if they are or aren't, that's your opportunity to wine and dine them and at least say, hey, I'm going to win you over, and you will become a member. But all in all of these things, all of these tasks, all of the psychology behind it will not resonate in the mind of a spa consultant that does not have this skill set. You can't fix stupid. So a couple of the top Planet Beach objections, just based on, when I was in the stores, I remember that this all still remains true. It all still remains the same. The top objections are financial. Let me talk it over with my spouse, right? I guess we're still kind of in 1954, I guess, apparently. The commitment in terms, right? The 24-month, or, it's all in the detail of the cancellations policy, things like that. And a lot of people nowadays, it's more so than ever, and this is proving to be true when it comes to us running our EFT every month, and we see that so many do not honors, right? There's so many restrictions on different institutions and banks, and that's just because credit card fraud, account fraud, and being rendered, that's a real struggle these days. So don't like automatic billing. There's a ton more, and I do know that, but these are the specific top ones, and I know you're looking at this going, absolutely, so let's try and understand them. Well, I can tell you this. All the ones that you're going to get, the ones that are on the screen, the other ones that I don't have on here that exist, they all mean nothing. They're not what it seems. It's not a financial thing. They don't need to talk it over with their spouse. The commitment and terms are not an issue, and they don't like automatic billing, correct? But we offer other options. And what you're probably thinking right now is, no, you're psycho, right? You're crazy. Yes, this is real problems. These are real struggles. But the actual objection is the customer does not see the value in your product or your service. And what went wrong in your tour, in your consulting them to build up to that program pitch, maybe your approach was the same, right? Maybe the skill set was not there in understanding the customer, scanning their personality type like we just discussed, understanding who they are and how I need to speak to you, right? So I'm going to go into this a little bit further and go into it a little bit more by saying the college kid that comes in, that works 2 jobs, that pays their own bills, that don't have parents that have given them anything, right? I know my conversation, even down to my mannerisms, to the words that I use, it's going to be molded around this person's personality type, because why? Throughout the entire tour, and if you've been to franchisee school and you've seen the sales process video or taken the trainings on PBU, you know that throughout the process there are steps, right? There are specific steps, there's scripts, and it's a long drawn out process, but there's actually one thing that's missing throughout any of the trainings that are out there, and that is there's one step that remains through the entire process, all the way down to the moment that they walk out of the door with their products and their new program. And that's relationship building. So if I'm talking to Sally, and I'm having a discussion with Sally because I understand the struggle of being in school and having to work both full-time. I've been there. So that's helpful to me. But I know also at the same note that I understand completely, if I'm throwing money away, I don't want to feel like it's being thrown away. If I'm purchasing something, or if you tickle my fancy enough to where I'm promising to give you $59 a month loyally every single month for 24 months, you better wine and dine me, right? Like the other more established person in the consumer type, right? You better show me where my value is, because the second that I feel like I'm spending money to be treated as a number, I'll cancel. However, I can relate more personally to Sally, who's the college kid who has to pay her own bills, because I've been there. But you can rest assured, if I don't understand the other personality type of not caring about the money as long as I see value, even if I don't know how to relate to that, you can rest assured that I will pretend and I will fake it till I make it, because I have that skill set. Right? And I understand, Miss Mary, that it's important to you that if you make this investment into yourself that each month you better see results. That's my job. That's why you see on this name tag it says consultant, because that's what I'm here to do. Consult you until you feel like you've reached a goal and that we can maintain it from there on out. So every now and then I'm going to schedule appointments with you to see where you're at, to assess where you're at to your goals, right? We're going to see if there's anything else that we may need to maneuver around, put you in different services. We have a ton of different at-home products. Anything that I'll need to do to show you that I am only here and I am employed here. The only reason my job is even existing is because of our members, our very valued members like you. I'm not going to talk to Sally like that. I'm going to have a calculator and go, Sally, look, I get it. I've been where you're at and you have a goal to hit. You have to, you have this sorority formal coming up in like 2 months. You have to look amazing. I get it, and I've been where you're at, and I know how expensive it can be to look beautiful and get yourself, primed up and you all beautified, and I've been there. So let's go through how we can break this down so I could show you the value in this, and to where if you were just going to buy, 2 mystics from me to get prepped. I mean, we have prep services that you have to use. That's where we're different, right? Planet Beach, we're not just going to throw you in one of our mystic services or PB Glow services and just say, have at it, right? That's what sets us apart. Now, using these services, that's like $39 a session, and it's ridiculous. We don't ever sell any of those, just FYI, by the way. But this is where the value is that I'm trying to show you, and that is for only $59 a month, one time a month. First of the month is whenever we our members typically pay for their programs. That gets you unlimited use of using all the other services. So not only can we get your skin prepped, if I saw you mention that you wanted to lose a little bit of weight before the formal, and you also want to get some color. So we can get you in here 2 to 3 times a week for just a flat rate of $59. Look at that. So if you were to do that individually, look at that, 39 times 7. God, look how much that is versus 59. It'd be crazy for you not to do that. So do you see the different approaches? Because I understood and I scanned my quote-unquote opponent. Without that skill set and without you as leaders on this call training them on how to do that, all they're going to do when that person hits them with an objection is go, okay, well, thank you, bye. That is a failure. That is 100% fail. And in the back of your minds, that's a leadership/training failure on your end to know, I need to fix this. And you don't need to always train on the what. You guys need to spend 70% of your time training on the how and the why. It's important. And the leadership, right? The rest, the other 30% needs to be the what, because I can memorize a script. I can know processes and procedures. I can go off of a checklist. But what I can't do is understand skill set if I just don't have it. So that's how this all ties in together. But all in all, these top objections, finances, that there's no value, because you know why? I'm not going to promise you $59 a month, $158 today to get started, and then $59 a month starting the first. No, I didn't see anything. That's what that means. Let me talk it over with my spouse. I'm just really nice. I don't want to hurt this little girl's feelings, but I'm not spending this money, and it ties into financial, which ultimately ties into value. Commitment in terms. I don't know if I'm going to use it that long. I'm not, I don't know. What does this mean? I can't cancel. What is all that? That just means that you didn't form to their personality to explain to them, no, we handle every member's situation individually. We don't want you to get anxiety over this, because a lot of the times most of our members know, and we deal with it every week or every month. We get the phone calls saying, hey, my check was short this last pay period. Can you hold off on, charging me for my program until this specific date? Because we don't go through collections agencies and because we don't report to credit bureaus, we work with each member specifically, individually based on their situation. So if any obstacles arise, we'll definitely work with you. You didn't showcase that. So there is no value in this. This looks like either a marriage or a prison term sentence, right? That's where they don't see value. I don't like automatic billing. There's paid in full options. Oh my gosh, they can't afford it all up front. Well, here comes skill set, and you can't fix stupid. We could break it up, right? And you guys know about that overcoming objection little trick, because I know you guys have taken the training before with the videos that you guys are going to take after again or for the first time if you have not, right? It doesn't take an Albert Einstein. It does not take a genius. It doesn't take anything really except critical thinking skills, right? Solution skills. You're a consultant. Let me help you figure it out, because the number one response to any objection is, and write this down, I don't want fill in the blank to be the reason that you don't become a member with us today, whatever your name is. So fill in the blank being, I don't want financial reasons to be the reason you don't become a member with us today. Because I'm a consultant, it's my job to consult you to a solution to be able to get this. I know you love those services, right? I know you did that. Or I don't want commitment reasons to be the reason that you don't become a member with us today. Let's go ahead and let's work out the terms here. Let's go ahead and let's just say, because you're in the military or whatever the case might be, we can write it on your agreement that should you need to be relocated for your job, an immediate cancel is approved, right? Or anything like that. You know, that kind of stuff, that response showcases that you're a consultant, and instantly in the back of their mind, they're going, oh, maybe they're not just trying to sell me something. She's really trying to be helpful. So keep that in mind in your trainings. That's always the number one response. Let's go through the objections handling module, right? There really is a cycle. For those of you who've been around for years, you remember the circle of success. This is very similar, if not the same thing. But when you're training and you're taking this back to your staffs after you're done this webinar, whether you do it in a meeting or whether you do it one-on-one as they come in for shift turnover, this needs to be done. They need to understand it. The introduction, that's our guest greeting. Or phone, right? They call, they come in, and the guest greeting together. Whenever they walk in and they give the guest greeting, they're sitting down with the personal spa profile. If you're not doing this, again, then forget the rest of this training, because it's not going to be helpful at all to you. But needs an assessment. That's our personal spa profile. The assessment is the tool that makes you the kiosk, right? It computes out what they need based on their answers, so you don't look you look less of the salesperson, you look more of a consultant. Oh, well, just based on what you told me, that's why I provided this to you. I'm so sorry, but there must have been a misunderstanding. Needs the assessment, right? Key messages, features, and benefits. This is when I turn around, take the results of that assessment, and give them back hey, this is what's going to help you. Based on what you answered, here are the services that I'm going to show you in our tour. Check this out. I'm going to cover just top 3 bullets, features, and benefits of each of the services and how it responds and correlates directly with their personal spa profile. So again, I'm not selling, I'm answering their questions, and I'm just providing what they need based on what they're telling me they need, okay? Then here we go with the pitch. Here we go with the program. So what you can do is blah, 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 blah at blah, blah, blah a month. Here come the objections, right? Now, before you even go in to your tour and pitch a program, note that there are pre-objection handling tasks, strategies that you can do when you sit down and take their personal spa profile from them. Now, what I mean by that is you can tackle the convenience with how many days a week do you have to dedicate. If they circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the answer is always, and write this down if you don't know it, whatever day of week, however many days a week that they say they can dedicate to their wellness and beauty goals, right? You always repeat that number back and say most of our members come in that many times a week. I don't know how many it's going to be. Everybody's different. They're going to say 1 day a week, 2 days a week. But that's overcoming the objection about I don't know if I'm going to use this enough to see the value in spending $59 a month. When you have overcome that off the bat and you tell them right then and there, oh, that's good. I'm glad that you said that, because you know what I found? I actually found, Miss Mary, that most of our members come in about 1 or 2 days a week. So that's funny that you mentioned that. I mean, it's crazy how we all live such a fast-paced lifestyle. That seems like a conversation piece, but again, I'm a skilled consultant to understand later on when I pitch the program. They're not going to go, I don't know, $59, $89 a month. I'm not going to use it as much. I'm not really going to come in as much. And that's whenever you could pull out that PSP and go, oh, I'm sorry. I think I remember you saying, yeah, look, right here, you were saying that you had 1 or 2 days a week. And I know, most of our members that are currently coming in now, with it being $40 a session to be able to use individually, if they're coming in even once a week, it's paying for itself, and there's still so much savings and value in it. Most of our members see that. So, I remember just, I'm going off of your profile, so I apologize. But I don't want that to be the reason, right, that you don't become a member with us. So do you see how I segued into that and how I use that? So overcome these objections off the bat. The spouse thing, right? Oh, well, let me talk to my spouse about it. Well, you'll find out in the tour, because hopefully you remember from what we just mentioned, relationship building is key throughout this process. Talking to them about, oh, you have a husband, you have children, you have a wife, you have kids, whatever the case might be, getting their scenarios, finding out where they go to school, thinking in the back of my mind, I'm going to contact this school later when I need to go and approach teachers, right? That's a skill. That is a skill that is given to you, that is acquired at birth, right? That is not something that you can teach. So don't burn yourselves out as leaders. Don't burn yourselves out as managers and try and teach the people that are in your spa that right now you know for a fact will not have the skill set to do this. But I'm going to find out with the spouse. Oh, okay, well, you know what we need to do? That would be probably really nice if we offered your spouse to come in with you and have a day of spa together. I think that'd be really awesome. Later on, before you leave, we'll get him set up to come in and get maybe some massages, maybe come in and use our sauna, some detox services. I think he'd really enjoy that, and that'll be a good time for you guys to spend some time together. But we can handle that later on, right? But when you go to pitch the program to him, hello, ding, 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 that's a second sale. Let me talk to my husband. No, I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to have you add your husband on at half of what you're paying for, and at no cost up front today, because he's got 30 days to decide if he wants to stay or leave. This way, he can come in, use it with you. He'll see how much you love it and you're hooked. He's not going to make you quit, right, unless he's an abusive husband, but let's hope that's not the case. So you see, you're overcoming these objections early on down the line. So just know that in that needs assessment module phase, this is the moment. This is the moment where when you sit down with them to review it, you can actually pre-overcome objections that don't exist yet, right? So keep that in mind as well. That's a skill set that only very few possess, and it's something that is the few that do possess this trait and the skill set practice, drill, and rehearse this in the mirror. They role play, and it's constant. It's all the time. These are top spas. These are some of us that are here in spa performance to this day that did it when we ran top spas, right? So it's very important to know that if you have that skill set, passing it along to the people that are in your spa are key. Lastly, after you overcome the objections, it's the summary, right? That's when you get all of the products together and you ring them up, and that's the close. So all in all, when we talk about pre-overcoming objections and we talk about objections in general, defining the objection, going back to this, the Planet Beach top objections, defining it as being one real objection is key, okay? Because once you get that objection, you understand, okay, I fell off somewhere and this is damage control. Code red should be going off in the back of your mind. I fell off somewhere. That means what happens later, I'm going to be practicing and drilling and rehearsing, even if it's to myself. What did I sound like? If there's somebody else that works there that maybe heard you throughout your process, ask them, where do you think it was that I lost value with them? They lost the value in what I was doing, because I thought I was doing great, but perception versus reality, this is where it comes back into play. So defining the objection, what's the real reason? And understand that let me think about it. That's another main objection that didn't make the cut of the top 5, right, that you saw listed, the top 4, I'm sorry. But the let me think about it falls right there in with let me talk to spouse when it comes to I'm just being nice to you because I'm not rude and I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm not buying anything. You did not show me where my money is going to be a well-spent investment, right? So let me think about it really needs to be ask more questions. And that's where the consultant needs to understand their role of consulting, not telling. At that point, you don't go, no, let's fix this, or no, let me show you, blah, blah. Follow up with, I don't want financial reasons, or I don't want blank reasons to be the reason why we do this. So what can we do? Tell me a little bit more about why blank, right? ... Tell me why you feel that this is a real reason, because it's my job to see to it that, this is something that you walk out of here with today and you don't feel 100% buyer's remorse, right? So defining that objection, number 1, is key. And in order to do that, is questions, asking questions. Now, here's a tip I'm going to give to you, and I hope you write this down. We are all natural born manipulators. That sounds terrible, but it's not what I'm trying to say. Natural born manipulators are when you and I want something bad enough, we figure out a way to make it happen. Whether it is a conversation with our parents, or a conversation with our children, or a conversation with our significant others. If I want a new car and I have a husband, I'm going to win because I know that I can manipulate my way into that mindset of, even if it comes down to that my spouse is saying, you know what, just do it because I'm tired of hearing you talk about it. That could be defined as being similar, if not just the same as saying, you know what, you gave me another couple of extra days to utilize this before I made my decision, and I'm hooked and I just can't live without it now. So you know what, I'm going to do it. Very similar, right? So with us understanding that mindset, it's important to use that in our training as leaders, as managers, as the people in our spa, or even if you're a consultant. Utilize those tactics and get in that mindset whenever you're doing any of this. Because when you understand that you want this just as bad as you want to get your parents to get you something, or to get your significant other to take you out to eat to a nice restaurant this week and to stop sitting at home and watching movies and ordering pizza, right? So the same way that you manipulate the conversation into that for your personal gain, you need to put that hat on. We always talk about put on your consumer hat, right? Well, we need to have our consumer hat on because we always need to see the WIFM to be able to use in anything, whether it's allocating a red appointment or motivating a staff or even pitching a program. But we also need to put your personal hat on. Understand what the goal is and define the objection and go about the conversation in the same exact way. That needs to be trained and passed on to our staff that are capable with the skill set. Not to the people that are not. You're going to train a monkey, right? So gain the agreement, present the answer, and then you'll close the deal. The Overcoming Objections cheat sheet does provide just that for you to get the basic preliminaries of the different objections that you have with a list of the main objections. This was, again, the link that I had in the description of this webinar that you should have seen. And if not, no big deal. It's linked. You can go back in and click on it to access it. It goes straight to the drive where you can download it yourself and have it for training purposes. But reviewing this to understand what I'm talking about now, maybe whenever you go through that and read that again, you'll understand. And a lot of those things that you couldn't understand why we say certain things or respond certain ways, now you understand why. So definitely go take a look at that and have that printed up and use. Now, probably the most important thing here above all is going to be this part here. What we're noticing a lot of here in Spa Performance when we're assessing you guys each month and we're going through what happened, the weaknesses and the strengths of each of your spas and your staffs. Number one is it's always the staff. Number one, because all of these processes and procedures that you guys are currently training on and providing for your staffs, it's just not being implemented. So that needs to be first and foremost all the time is replacing your best, not your worst. So duplicating yourself, right? But a lot of it has to do with, not being able to overcome an objection and not having proper staff that understand that there needs to be a follow-up and not let anybody slip through the cracks, and common sense to say they're not walking out without buying something, right? So if you don't close a member, then don't stress. Now, many of the times you'll hear your consultants say it when you walk up the hallway or you turn the corner or you whatever, and it drives you absolutely bonkers, right? Oh, I don't think I'm going to do it today. I'm not interested, but thanks. Oh, okay, thanks, bye. Letting them walk out. That right there is probably the worst feeling that you probably have ever had in your entire life. I know the struggle. But it's not the end of the world whenever somebody says no after your efforts of overcoming them. So after you've literally asked every question possible and you've tried to drill down a solution, you're not trying to push a sale, you're trying to drill down to a solution as a consultant, you've tried and thought of everything on your level of training and your knowledge. Well, you fail. Okay, no big deal. It's not a failure because A, remembering to incorporate that there is always a buy it back opportunity for any consumer type. That's the walk-in with no offer. You can buy back a guest pass, a $50 gift certificate, whatever marketing materials you have floating around out there. You can always say, hey, you know what? Because there's always a campaign going on. And I say that in quotes, in air quotes, because you couldn't even imagine the different campaigns that I spewed out off the top of my head when I was a consultant. It's it's a customer appreciation month, or it's a brand awareness campaign we're having right now. Because of that, I'm able to offer you, I'm able to buy back something you didn't even purchase, right? Or I'm able to offer you another couple of extra days to use services and come in and utilize this more. I mean, who wouldn't want something for free anyway, right? So let's just at least do this for you. The customer walk in with the offer, whether it's a Groupon, Living Social, Guest Pass, or a $50 gift certificate, buy it back. You can always buy it back and put it towards their get started cost or their get started fee. The red appointment, they already have the offer. Buy back the offer. What did you offer them in the first place? Put a dollar amount of value on whatever that is and say, let's put that towards getting you started. That way, we can just off the bat overcome the financial objection, right? Or sweeten up the deal to show the value, the customer service, the customer experience. At that point, they like you for what you're doing for them, and they might just buy it because they want to hang out with you and talk to you about their problems every single day. But there is always a campaign going on that you can extend their free trial a few days a week. We are all creatures of habit, and we know it. You all on this call, every one of you have addictive personalities. People just don't realize that everybody does have an addictive personality, whether it's coffee, whether it's smoking cigarettes, whether it's, eating or drinking a specific drink every single day, a routine, anything like that. We're creatures of habit. And we understand that sometimes one day at the spa, 3 free services, we need to understand that sometimes that's just not even going to do it. If that gets me to get off my couch, you are already winning, because a one day wouldn't work for me personally. And again, I'm Eileen. I'm not getting off my couch. I work too dang much. So give me a week. Tell me I got a week membership. That way, you know what? That first day, I'm coming in with the offer, knowing when to do it, before or after they use services. That's the number one question that we always get. This is a skill set, you guys, and knowing the person and scanning the person. If I know that I've built a relationship based around that, I can say with a good mind, I think I'm gonna pitch this program to them and tell them, hey, but you know what? Sally, right? The one that's looking for a good deal, the college student. Sally, you know what I wanna do though? What I could do for you right now is, before I put you in your services to try it out, right? We talked about the cost breakdown and everything, about how much it usually costs, because maybe Sally says, how much is it going to cost me? Because they want to know prices off the bat when they walk in. You know what? You didn't even come in with anything, but because we're having this huge campaign this month about brand awareness, just trying to, get our name out of the tanning salon mentality and make people understand we're a spa, we're offering so many great deals and discounts and specials with the promotions that I can actually take this $50 gift certificate that you didn't even walk in with, and I could just pretend like you did, and I could put that towards getting you set up. So it's actually not even going to cost you this much today. But understanding that, right, and going about that approach, every single person needs to get addicted. If they say no after all the things that you've said, after all the solutions you tried to find, it's important to be able to say, let me go ahead and extend this for you, or let me buy this back and put this towards this before you utilize any of these Groupon services. Maybe they purchase 5 or 6, spa sessions, or 5 or 6 UV and spray sessions for $49, whatever your deal is, right? The more you utilize this, the more you chip away at this, the less the value. But, if you let me buy it back right now, it's full value. You haven't used any of it yet. So, do you want to do that? Because, each month it's only $59 a month. You can use it unlimited. I'm giving you all the basic benefits. What's going to happen is if they say no right then and there, they go into the service. You can still tell them when they come out, although you used 2 services today, I just want to let you know the offer's still on the table because I just talked to my boss, right? Or I just talked to my manager, and it's totally okay to do this just because this month it's like a blowout. It's brand awareness. We can pretty much play around with anything when it comes to getting, members acclimated in their programs, and at that time, if they use the services, 9 times out of 10, they're laying in there and they're stewing and they're marinating in it, right? They're just like, oh my God, and they're thinking about their budget, saying, I can do this. I can see myself doing this. So knowing that it's always okay to be able to have that conversation with the specific personality type, all in all, is the perfect way to approach those specific consumer types. Miss Mary, on the other hand, who's more established, I may want to explain to her in a small conversation while she's filling out her release forms after I've done the tour. She might think I'm having a conversation and I'm just dropping it in her ear. I'm so glad that you came in and took advantage of your week membership, Miss Mary. I can't wait to get you into these services. This is Ambassador Week. If you were on the call yesterday, this is Ambassador Week. You're giving away week memberships, right, to the referrals of your members. So this is the perfect time to understand this specific training. She's filling out her release forms after because she's excited to do that. It's not happening right when she walks in because I'm doing her PSP. I'm touring her and we're getting her set up with her products. While she's filling out all that paperwork and the release forms, I'm so glad you came in and took advantage of this, Miss Mary. Everybody's coming in this week specifically. All of our members are getting their, friends and loved ones set up on this. They're loving their week memberships. I know you're going to love. I cannot wait. I can't wait to get you in these services. I know you're going to love it. A lot of times we're finding that the week membership, a lot of the people coming in and utilizing this, they're putting it towards getting set up with their very own program. Just like your friend such and such, right? And they're putting it towards that and they're getting set up with $59 a month, unlimited. They're loving it. And they're using it because they're getting hooked after day one of their week membership, right? So I'm talking about it. I'm pitching it and she doesn't even know it. And what's that? That's a skill set, right? So that's overcoming the objection before it happens, because at that point you're opening up the door for Miss Mary to go, that's all it is, $59, right? Because she's the disposable income one. $59, that's it. Well, how much is a week membership over here that you gave me? I'm going to put a price point on that of $70, $100, right? Whatever the case might be. Oh, but you know what? But what they're doing is, if it's $100, they're actually putting that towards their setup fee. So it's only $58 today, and then $59 starting on the 1st. So that's what a lot of people are doing. But you know what? I don't want to talk about that, Miss Mary. I want to get you in your services. So let's go ahead and finish you up here. I'll have your products. That doesn't seem like I'm selling her, and she doesn't think I'm trying to, and I'm not pushing. I'm actually reversing it, and I'm actually making it seem like I don't want her to buy. When in actuality, if she doesn't say I want it right then and there, she's going to come out of the services and say, I want that program. Get me set up. So then it just falls in your lap, right? So it's a lot easier than we think it is when it comes to pitching a program. We just complicate it more on ourselves by trying to train people on the why and the how that are not trainable or that don't understand this, right? And that's why you guys are on this call today. And then there's the last case scenario of STS. And no, that's not a venereal disease. STS actually stands for something. What is it? It means sell them something. Now, we know the importance of that net EFT. We've had trainings on it. We know that it's important to get the draft up. We know that that's the lifeline of the business. It's the artery, right? But at the end of the day, we still have a revenue category, and it's still in there. It's called membership cash. And I know many of you know already, Danielle, I know what membership cash is, but based on our locations and our company numbers, it doesn't seem that way. It seems as if everybody's so desperate to get the new member, they're waiving enrollment fees like crazy. Now, I would never, and you would never as consumers, expect to walk into any health club, any country club, any place that actually requires you, a business, to pay for something. We would never as consumers walk in someplace and expect something for free. So why are we painting that image in our consumers' brains when they walk into our businesses? You're making them believe they can get something for free by your approaches. You're having them understand that it's okay. You can negotiate with us. We're like a flea market, right? Or we're like a trade. We're a stock, right? We can negotiate. You can bargain with us. People, word of mouth is probably, it could be your worst enemy or your best friend. Because when I leave, I'm going to call my friends and go, hey, they have this ambassador program she told me about, and I just got set up on a membership. I need you to go over there and get one because I'm not going to be able to afford this next month. And that's how she was able to get me. But look, she was so easy to work over. All you need to do is say that's too expensive. And I guarantee you, if you just talk her down and you talk about threaten to walk out, she'll give it to you. You're putting that concept in the minds of the consumers in your areas. So don't do that. Don't put that in the minds of the consumers, but offer ways to be able to buy things back. Offer ways to work with them if it's a financial thing, right? But do not come off of getting a full enrollment fee because your staff is not trained on understanding where the value is. 90% of the time, if they're waiving that much, they don't see value in it themselves, which falls into the swell category. They're not sold on themselves. They wouldn't buy it as consultants. So they're not going to sell it at the full price. And if they sell anything, it's not going to be much of value to you. So don't put in the minds of the consumers that are coming in, Don't paint that into their minds. Don't put that in their minds, because you guys know as well as I do, if that were you, you'd do the same thing. If I see that this person can do anything with the price, I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to even threaten to walk out, even though I won't because I want it. I'm going to just say, I don't know. I'm going to think about it because I just don't have that kind of money on me today. I know she's going to give it to me for free today. Don't let them do it. And if they're doing it, get rid of them. It's not worth it. You're not going to make money, right? So sell them something means if for whatever reason you can't get them on their program after you've extended a few days to a week to be able to use more services, because one day will just simply not get them in any habit, it's okay to say, let me give you a couple more days. That's okay. Tell them it's okay. If it's all a part of your negotiation to get this new member, these consultants have got to understand and have the skill set, again, and the mindset and common sense to know, well, I'm going to extend this because I know that once I work her a little bit, I know for a fact that later on when I go and pitch this program again, she simply is not going to say no. She's got to have it. She won't be able to live without it. So if that still does not work, your staff has got to be able to go, okay, well, you know what? If you're still a little bit, if after talking to my manager, after they've reassured that, we work individually with each member situation, you're still having a little bit of anxiety about the terms of the program, it's okay. We have a temporary solution for you that I could probably get you set up on, and let me see if I can still implement a buy it back, right, on a 3-month, put a $50 gift certificate on that, right? Get them set up with a 1, 3-month, 10 sessions, 7 sessions, 5 sessions, however many, and it's not a failure by doing this. Because at the end of the day, if after all has failed, right, obviously there's a training moment because they need to be trained if they're failing. But after all attempts have failed, but they still remembered to sell them something, and you're getting money in the bank, guess what? You still have bills to pay. Payroll still takes a huge chunk out of the franchisee's bank accounts when it's a couple of days before the 10th and 22nd. So that still happens, and it's okay to get a 1 or 3-month or a 6-month, whatever the case might be, or a 10 session, right? It's okay to do that because that's instant money in the bank. That's gratification. It's okay to get that in those cases. They're still getting a commission, so they do have a whiff them. But you're also, what they're actually buying is time. What's going to happen to this person when they're coming in for a month? Later on at the end of the month, if they're not coming to you already going, you know what, I ended up spending $199 on this. Didn't you mention something about that there was like that program? I think I remembered you talked. If they don't come to you already with that, you see their expirations coming soon, right? Because you're printing up these reports hopefully every week as managers and seeing who's set to go out, and you're calling last minute to re-up people over the phone like we talk about all the time. You should see that and go, hey, so, you're about to be up on your stuff. You've been loving this. You've been using this. We don't want to lose you. Let's get you set up on this program. That way you don't have to spend another $199 or $117 or however much it comes out to. At that point, they're hooked 100%. At that point, if they're not sold on this, and you know what, you mentioned you might move and you didn't like the terms of this, that's fine. Let's go ahead and negotiate something. I'll write it on your agreement. If you have to up and leave, I'll even write it and put my initials on it. It's okay to do an immediate, termination to the program, or we can find somebody to take it over for you. Let's come up with a solution, because why? That's one of my job descriptions. That's one of the things I need to know how to do in my skill set. Come up with a solution for you. That's consulting. It's not sales associate. You're a spa consultant, right? That is the perfect example. So I hope that you guys wrote down a lot of the things that I talked about today. Today was mainly about understanding the objection, understanding that the spa consultant has to possess a skill set of, and write this down if you didn't remember, common sense, critical thinking skills. They need to possess solution-solving skills. And they have to be able to, and ask these consultants as they're coming in and out all week. And if you are a consultant, you need to understand this, but ask them this question. Define the title spa consultant. So ask them these questions, assess your staff, do a SWOT analysis, do an evaluation, or whatever the case might be, but analyze your current staff right now, who possesses all this, ask and see what they respond with what is your definition of a spa consultant, right? If the word selling comes out of their mouth too much, now selling is ultimately what happens when you consult well. That's going to fall into place if you do a good job of consulting. So if they say selling here and there, it's fine. If the word selling or sales happen too much, they don't understand their role. So have them define that role whenever you're assessing them and realizing who you need to replace. I don't care if it's your cousin. I don't care if you happen to work with your best friend or if your staff happens to be your daughter or your whatever, right? That has nothing to do with business. That has nothing to do with your job. So define the term. If they answer that it's too salesy, if they say anything that is not, my job is to consult to a solution. My job is to make sure that our members stay. And in order for them to stay, I need to constantly be consulting. How are you loving this specific product? Tell me a little bit about, your results that you're getting, right? Or have me in the middle of a tour asking questions. Are you married? You look so familiar. Do they understand the process? Do they understand how to overcome an objection and how to overcome them by asking questions, right? Do they respond with those type of answers? If they do not, if they're responding to you saying, well, I'm supposed to run this biatch and I have to sell retail and I have to sell memberships and I got to go out and market and prospect all the time, where I'm actually just going out and getting something to eat and I'm just telling you that I'm passing out guest passes because I really don't like to talk to people, that right there is you need a new staff. So anyway, that's the things that you got to take back and assess. So hopefully you wrote that down. Those are the skill sets that they must possess, and understanding everything that we covered today in this training is critical. Now this, again, will be recorded and you will be able to access this to watch again later, but we're going to continue this on Friday to go into the more advanced overcoming objections. This is where we're going to do a lot of, I don't want to say role play because I do a lot of dictating on these webinars, so maybe, I'll just role play with myself and be two different people or I'll get somebody else to here help me. But this will be the more advanced because now that you understand the basics, the knowledge, the foundation of what an objection is and knowing the skill set behind it, I can go into Friday for part 2 with a good mind of knowing you understand it all in all. So until then, your homework is to go to Orion. Okay. In Orion, you will find in the Spa Performance and Education folder and in the Membership Information folder, there's sales processes. In the sales processes, you'll see a ton of videos, and yours truly, and you remember Lindsay used to be here in our Spa Performance department. We have a lot of role play videos on overcoming objections and examples. Now, it's not drawn out to the point where it's realistic in the spas now currently that, we have some customers that'll fight us back sometimes and we feel like we can't but it's providing you with a role play example of how we're finding solutions by asking questions like we've been discussing this whole time. And there are about 5 or 6 different example overcoming objection videos in this folder. So go to the folder in Orion, pull up membership information. There is a sales process video in there, but you don't need to watch the sales process video. That's not what we're trying to do here. This is not a training on that because that's another day. Anything that says overcoming objections that is a video, play it. And that's your homework, to watch all of those videos before Friday. So when we resume this on Friday to do part 2 of a more advanced, and we're going to talk about the detail and really dig deep and dissect these objections and I'll give you examples with an easy one and with a hard customer. Because I know a lot of times you guys call me out all the time on calls, like, okay, Miss Priss, then, what if they tell you this? I've been there, I get it. So we're going to go through all that, and I'm excited to do that because I know that you guys are going to be awesome after. So do that, make that an action item to do so. Obviously, your deadline is before Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to send out the invitation for it so that you get the reminders, but that's your homework. If you have any questions regarding this specific training, as usual, email me because I'm always running around in meetings and having calls. So shoot me a quick email. I'll give you a call, and I will be able to help you and walk you through or just recover any of this. But be on the lookout for this recorded webinar. I'll post it on the Facebook group page as well as send it out in an email. Thank you guys so much. You rock. You're awesome. That's why you're on this call. You're trying to get better. We never stop training, right? So hang up with me. I've taken up enough of your time. Enjoy your lunches. Enjoy your days. And I can't wait to talk to you guys on Friday. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
To stop conference recording, press 1. Your conference recording has stopped.